Hello, and welcome to the Empowerography Podcast. This is a platform created for women's voices to be heard and a place to share their stories, journeys, and successes with the world for the purpose of helping other women who might be on similar journeys. We are empowering women one episode at a time. I'm your host, Brad Walsh, so kick back, grab one of your favorite beverages, and enjoy the stories. Are you an author, speaker, coach, or entrepreneur building a brand in today's very crowded marketplace? How do you stand out? Join me on September 27th and share 97 minutes of your time for just $97 and learn how to empower your brand message and shine as a guest on podcasts. iHeart's doing it. Spotify's doing it. You should do it too. Join me and spend 97 minutes of your time for just $97. You can find the registry link in the show notes. Hope to see you there. Hello there, Brad Walsh here, your host of the Empowerography Podcast. Today, my guest is Sondra Falk. She is the owner and founder and head designer at Sondra Falk Couture, which is a premier design and manufacturer of luxury women's apparel, ranging from elegant formal wear to evening wear to bridal. Welcome, Sondra. I am so honored and excited to have you here. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Brad. Thank you so much for having me.
It is my pleasure and my honor. I had the distinct pleasure of meeting you in person back in October in Las Vegas and seeing some of your incredibly beautiful designs. So I from that moment, from hearing you speak, from seeing your designs, I just knew that I had to have you on the show. So here we are. So with that being said, let's jump right in. How long has Sondra Falk Couture been in business, and what was the inspiration behind starting the business?
So I actually opened my first location in 1995. So I've been around a while. And when I did, during that time, I was designing uniforms for hotels and casinos all over, because I initially started my fashion journey through the uniform division. And that was a lot of fun for a little while, but there's only so much 65, 35 poly cotton that you can deal with. I mean, it's a very different kind of animal, uniforms are, because you have to be very specific about the types of fabric that you're using and the washing and the laundering and the longevity of the garments that you make for the hotels and casinos. So that's where I started, and that was fun. I did that for 7 years before I got just a little taste of what it's like to actually make a more high-end luxury type piece of apparel. And the first thing that I did was a wedding gown for one of my casino executives. She was going to go and rent a dress. Back in the late 80s, early 90s, that's what people did. Oh, I'm going to spend this much money on a dress. I'll just go rent one. I said, oh, I can design one for you. Really? That's great. So once I got the bug for that, it was ladies apparel ever since. Yeah.
And the rest is history, as they say. The rest is history, yes. Can you share a defining moment when you actually realized that fashion design was not just a passion for you, but your true calling?
So I absolutely know the moment. It was 1975. I was 12 years old, and I watched Mahogany for the first time with Diana Ross and Billy D. Williams. Of course, I was in love with Billy D. Williams, and if I had married him, I wouldn't have to change my name. And I would tell this to my mom, and she would just shake her head and go, girl, come on now. But yeah, really, truly, he was like the epitome of Black movie royalty. To this day, he's still amazing. But I saw this film with Diana Ross's character, Tracy Reese, as a fashion designer. I'd never seen an African-American fashion designer on the big screen or anywhere actually that I knew of. I was 12 at the time. And so It had a huge impact on me and how I saw myself. Now, when I was 12, I taught myself to sew. So I could look at something and I could go back home and I could try to make a little pattern out of whatever scraps of remnants that I had. And I would do little fashion shows for my family. But seeing that movie and seeing that she worked really hard, she had another job, but she never gave up on herself. I said, you know what? I can do that. I'm going to do that because I absolutely loved clothes. So that was a catalyst for what started me and where I am today.
And so how did couture fashion end up being the direction or focus? Because obviously you didn't start out in couture fashion. So how did that evolve into what you do now?
So it's a really funny story. I mean, I went to a really great school in Chicago, got a technical degree in fashion design, pattern making. You know, I was a milliner. I can make hats. I can make jewelry, all of these things. Yeah. By the time I left college, I could actually run a small business. I knew how to do the pricing. The only thing is I didn't have a roadmap that shows you, oh, you're supposed to go here. You're supposed to go to market. You're supposed to do this. You got to find your vendors and all this stuff. So I didn't have any of that. I went to the Sondra Falk School of Hard Knocks and did the whole time. You practice. And I don't think of things as failure. There's like lessons. So I had all of these lessons along the way, but I learned how to sew from a German sewing instructor. And she was very stern about the processes and the procedures when it comes to pattern making and to sewing, constructing apparel. And the one thing I will never forget about her is that she said, if you make a garment for someone that's going to pay you, they need to be able to turn it inside out and wear it on the street and looks just as good. Just because it looks good on the outside, and it needs to feel and look good on the inside as well. And so I could never be a costumer because they don't finish anything on the inside. The garment's only about the outside.
Okay.
If someone's going to wear something of mine, you're never going to want to get out of it. I mean, I use linings that make it feel like butter and so soft against the skin that you just never want to stop wearing it. So a friend of mine said, hey, I saw this fashion show in some magazine, random magazine. They needed to go to New York to do it. I'd never been to New York before. I'm like, I can't do it. Yes, you can. You need to apply. I sent in your application and they're going to call you. I'm like, okay. Because back then we didn't have cell phones. So I had to wait for the phone call, and they invited me to come to New York to this audition per se. And I had to bring 3 garments with me for them to inspect. So I took my best friend and my neighbor, and we all took a girls trip to New York for the weekend. I went into this place and there was hundreds of designers there. I'm just like, what am I doing here? Oh my God, this is terrible. I'm going to throw up any minute. So my friends, no, you're going to be great. You're going to be great. So I walked in with these 3 big garments, and there's this long row of all of these designers within the city, all in their respective fields. And they literally turned your garments inside and out, up and down. Look at the zippers, the button, the construction, everything, all of the trims and beadwork and handwork and everything. And when this man finished, he says, Mrs. Falk? I'm like, yes. So I stood up and went up to the table. He looks at me and he says, honey, do you make all your clothes this way? And I said, yes. He says, Miss Thing, do you know this is couture? I'm like, okay, thank you very much. So I literally had to go back and research what couture actually was. Because from my perspective, even when we were in school, couture was considered a very expensive, high-ticket item. But it really isn't. It's based on actually making clothes to specific measurements, which is exactly what I do. That was in 1998, and it's been Sondra Falk Couture ever since.
Wow, what a story. That's incredible. I'm curious what was going through your head when he said, do you make all your clothes like this? Was it like, did you think, oh my God, did I screw something up? Is this a bad thing?
Because that's how I was taught to make clothes. I'm like, what are you talking about? This is the correct way to make clothes. And I know he didn't want me to get up in his face because I probably wouldn't. I was very defensive about my work back then. Still, I am to this day. But yes, it was very funny.
Do you remember what those 3 pieces were that you took with you?
I actually do. One of them is my very favorite piece. I have the sketches on my wall in my sewing room. And then the dress is actually on my website. It was a burnout velvet back in the 80s. That was kind of like a new kind of fabric. And I always like to find things that are unusual. But what I loved about this particular piece is that the illustration that I sketched and the garment when it turned out was exact. The same. It was just true. There's a lot. Sometimes it's very difficult to do that when you create something and you're saying, oh, I can change this and make it this, and you make all these changes. But I didn't. I stuck straight to the sketch, and it turned out it was like one of my favorite pieces. I could never wear it because I'm only like 5'5", and I need someone that's like 6'1" to wear this dress. And it was gorgeous. Yes. Yeah.
Sondra, I'm curious. Obviously, you sketch out your pieces before you start to create them. Was art and drawing something that you gravitated towards as a young kid? Was this part of your learning process? Was art something you enjoyed, drawing and all those things?
Of course not. I drew stick people. Yeah, that was a very challenging thing for me when I got into college. I didn't have to draw anything when I was in high school. I mean, just found the butterick pattern. I could look at that and just make something, but they really didn't promote art that way in school. So when I got into college, it was really a challenge for me to learn how to do that. But luckily, I'd gone to the Art Institute of Chicago a year before I transferred to Rainbow College of Design. And I took a calligraphy class and a sculpting class. And so both of those, even though they have nothing to do with each other, they really helped me look at the human body for making my own croquis and then being able to like make very small lines and things in like fabrication and stuff. That helped me when I had my graphic arts class. I really did give my illustration teacher a very hard time when I was in school. And years later, I had to go back. I went back and I apologized to her for all the hard work and forcing me to do these things that I could do it. I mean, she had more confidence in me than I had in myself, my own abilities. And she just told me, you're never going to learn how to do something if you just keep whining about it. Okay. And so it only takes one time for someone to say that to you in class with all of your classmates before you like really get on it and learn your craft. Yeah.
So have you seen the beautiful progression from back then to your abilities to sketch out your pieces now?
Of course I have. I still have my portfolios and everything from college.
Wow.
From school. I have it all. I have everything from school. I saved it all. And so when I look at what I used to do then versus how I am now, I mean, the evolution is truly extraordinary.
And that's a beautiful thing. It's a great reminder to look back at that stuff too, I'm sure.
Yeah, it really is. I'm like, oh my God, this is where I started. And so when I have interns that come in, I'm not sure about this. I go to my book, this is where I started and this is where I am now. They're like, well, what just happened? Yeah. So
Sondra, what was the catalyst or that moment that made you shift from, you said you were creating uniforms into, was there a specific moment that you said, okay, it's time for me to break out on my own? What was that catalyst moment for you?
Okay, that's like a crazy story. So I had this small uniform company. I worked for a uniform company, repped for them and designed for them for 3 or 4 years. And then they were giving away all these small $50,000 orders here, $20,000 orders here. It's like small run production that they didn't really want to take care of. And my fiance, we weren't married back then, but he said, you could take all those little jobs and you could create your own company and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, whatever, sure. No, you should do it. You should really do it. Okay, so I quit and then saved up all my money and I opened up a little uniform company and I took all of those small orders, which was a lot of fun. You get small hostess orders and back of the house type stuff, restaurant stuff, which is a little bit fashion forward, but not too much because you still had to use that 65-35 itchy poly cotton stuff, but it was fine. And then I remember I did a job for a casino on the Strip. It was just a casino, not really a hotel. And it was a huge deal that a friend suggested that the casino contact us because we could probably take care of their project. It was 6 figures. A lot of 6 figures. And so I did all the artwork, researched all the fabric. I got together with another uniform company in Los Angeles because the volume was going to be a little bit higher than what I'm used to handling. And so we worked in conjunction on this project. They gave us our deposit. We ordered all the fabric, did all the markers, cutting, whatever, got all the uniform completely manufactured. And then we completed the installation. So then when we sent the second invoice for payment due, guess what happened? Oh my God, they didn't pay you. Oh, well, no, we have to wait. No, we don't need to wait. We need our money like now. And so it was like arguments back and forth. And that really put my little uniform company out of business. You can't sustain yourself when you do a big job for that. And there's no other types of payment plans. Yeah. And so anyway, I ended up losing my space. So we moved all of my equipment, everything out of the retail space that we had into my garage. So we had a 2-car garage. My husband and my friends laid carpet in the garage. They cut a hole in the side of the garage and put an air conditioner in there, air conditioner, heater.
Yeah.
And so I just kept on going. Was I crying and upset? No, I wasn't, because that's a lesson. So that told me that I wasn't supposed to do uniforms anymore. And so then I had, like I said before, I'd done a bridal dress for one of the executives. I said, well, let's just try that. I started doing bridal shows. And the next thing I know, I was busy for 2 years just making stuff. People didn't care that I made all this stuff in the garage of my house.
Yeah.
They didn't care. All they cared was they got a good quality garment that they wanted, something that nobody else had. And we had a good time through the whole entire process. So, yeah.
That's a hell of a hard lesson.
It was a very difficult lesson. And don't get me wrong, that was a very strenuous time in my life. I mean, we were newly married. We had a new house. My husband had just gotten a job working for a hotel company. And money was tight back then because we didn't have anything.
Yeah.
But I just kept telling myself, I know I can do it. I know I can do it. And I never gave up. And I kept on going.
Humble beginnings. I love it.
I never forgot that because it's a very good lesson
to
learn.
Yeah. What drives, motivates, and inspires you to keep going and excelling at all that you do, Sondra?
Because I love fashion. For me, it's a gift. I have no idea where it comes from. Nobody in my family sews. Not my mom. My grandmother used to do like hand sewing with little aprons and buttons and things like that, but not to the level that I do now or even back then. I don't know where it comes from, and I consider it a gift. I thank God every day for it. And as long as I can make something for a client and make them feel awesome and confident in what I'm bringing to them, then I've done my job, and I'll never quit. I love it.
When we can find what sets our soul on fire, that's the most incredible feeling in the world.
Yeah.
There's nothing better
I know I work every day and I go home and I'm really exhausted and tired, but it never feels like work. I mean, who wouldn't want to touch, feel, and make beautiful clothes out of beautiful fabrics every single day?
Yeah.
I have the best job in the world. I do.
Could you explain or define, I know you briefly touched on it, what couture is in the fashion world? And then what does couture mean to you personally? How do you incorporate it into its essence, into your designs?
So there's couture and there's haute couture. And so couture is making clothes by specific measurements for a specific individual.
Okay.
That's what it is. And because you're at that level where you can use a better grade of fabric than most people do, you're going to go out and find something that's going to be of higher quality. It might come from Europe. It might be an import. And so that elevates the price of whatever the garment is that you're making and hence becomes couture. And so you have a lot of, like you see Dolce & Gabbana, right? That's couture.
Yeah.
And then you'll have haute Dolce & Gabbana, and then you have DG, which is like retail line.
Okay.
So that's the difference. So because of how I was taught how to make apparel, it's consistent with me. That I only know how to make clothes one way. So if you want a piece from me, it's going to be couture no matter what it is.
Yeah. And so what's haute couture as compared to couture?
So haute couture is Christian Dior, where they will make a $20,000 or $30,000 dress in 2 or 3 weeks for one specific client, and they only make one.
Okay. It's a limited
like the
run.
Stuff that you see at Cannes Film Festival, that's haute couture.
Okay.
Very unusual, one kind of pieces that you're never going to wear again. I don't want to do that because I think it's very unenvironmentally friendly.
Not sustainable.
I want to have stuff that's going to last a long time.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Can you walk us through your creative process from initial concept to the final piece?
So I have a client that came in that's looking for a wedding dress, and she's not super tall. She's not super small. And there are certain types of silhouettes that she doesn't like. She's tried on stuff. And so she really can't find anything that is her jam. And so she came to me with all of these. I like the shoulder of this. I like the blouse of this, like this skirt. But I said, based on your figure and just looking at you, I would suggest this and this. And she's like, what do? We start with a consultation, just talking about what it is that she's looking for. And I always try to get from clients what color makes them like super, super happy. If you could pick a color that you put on and you just feel like, oh man, it's going to be a great day no matter what it is I have on or what happens in the day, I've got this color on. It's just empowering.
Yeah.
So that's what I try to find for my clients when I'm working with them. And then once I get all that information, I'll do like a sketch presentation. So I'll sketch up a bunch of stuff for them. I'll swatch it with fabrics because I have a whole library full of swatch books, rolling wax full of fabric over there that we can use. Unless she's looking for something specific that I have to go to one of my vendors and say, hey, I need this and this. Can you just send it to me? And they usually do. And then we'll do a sketch presentation. She'll come back. She'll take a look at all of the pieces that I've designed. I'll price them all up so she knows what she's looking at. And then she'll pick whatever it is that she wants. I'll make out an invoice. I take her measurements. And then 2 weeks later, she has her first fitting. And the process is just fun then because, you take pictures of the clients when you're taking their measurements and they're sitting there like this, take the photos, right?
Yeah.
Come back, they see the sketches and then they're like, and then you make the pattern and the muslin, and they come back for the first fitting in like the sampled design, and they're like, ah, and they're this way until you put it in fabric, and then their whole world just kind of explodes. And so we catalog all of that through pictures. And so we'll say, hey, this is how you were when you started. This is when you picked out your design. This is when we did the first muslin, the second one. This is when it was in fabric, and this is when it's finished. And they're like, oh my God, this is so great. And so a lot of my clients are my really good friends.
Yeah.
They refer their family members, cousins, aunts, uncles, anybody that they talk to because of the experience that they have. And I think that everyone in their lifetime should experience having something made specifically for the bodies, because everybody's body is completely different.
That's pretty incredible. So on average then, obviously there's going to be people who need things in a hurry and so on and so forth, but on average, how long is that process typically?
It usually takes about 6 to 8 weeks.
8 weeks. Okay, that's still not a bad timeline. I mean, that's a lot of work you're putting.
But I'm an expert pattern maker, and I have I have a full-time ladies tailor and a part-time ladies tailor, and we're all excellent pattern makers.
And it makes it flow quick. How do you stay true to your unique aesthetic while also evolving with the trends and demands of the fashion world?
See, here's the thing that's unusual about me. I don't follow fashion trends. I make them.
You are a trendsetter.
I'm a trendsetter. I'm a trendsetter in that with my clients, everybody's individual. We're all not alike. And you're not going to come to me for something that you can already get in a store. You're coming to me because there's something that you want and the stores don't have it.
Makes sense.
Right. So why should I follow what they have? Because that just makes me like everybody else.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm not. I'm an individual.
Unique fingerprint. What were some of the most unexpected obstacles you faced when you first started out, and how did you overcome those?
Not having enough money.
That's always one.
That's the biggest thing. I have all the ideas, and I worked hard to take care of my equipment. I had all the equipment, but if you don't have the financial assistance that you need, it's very difficult to really do anything. So thank goodness my husband is an accountant, and you can't do this, you can't spend this, you can't spend that. I'm like, okay, why? But I need this and this. And so I'll go to market looking for like beautiful fabric. The funniest story is I was at market. It was great. It's in New York City. One of my vendors was from France, and they had the most amazing beaded ostrich feather fabric you'd ever seen in your life. It was so gorgeous. I'm still just like drooling over it, the memory of this fabric, right? So I take a picture of it and I send it to the accountant. I'm like, hey, I'm at market. Look how beautiful this fabric is. It's this, it's that, blah, 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 blah. I can sell this. I can make this. I can make that. And so the first words out of his text message was, do you have a customer for that? And how much is it? Oh, crap. I said, I don't have a customer yet. And the fabric is $710 a yard. So there was dead silence for like about 10 minutes, right? 10 minutes. And then the text message comes back in. If you have a client for this fabric where you can sell it at $10,000, I'll be more than happy to let you buy that. He didn't say no, right?
True.
No. Yeah.
Wow.
So stuff that you have to pay attention to. I mean, I'm an artist by nature. And so numbers, except for making measurements when I'm pattern making, I'm good with that. But, financially, when it makes sense to spend something or not spend it, thank goodness I had a partner that just said, hey, if you have a client for it, great, you can buy it. But if you don't, then you should look for something else.
A little bit cheaper.
A little bit less expensive. Yeah, it wasn't no, but so it forces you to take a look at those kinds of things when you're in business for yourself. You need to make sure that your margins are enough to take care of the rent, the bills, the lights, the gas, like all of these things. Yeah. But, as an entrepreneur, I think about all of that stuff all the time. Yeah.
But as artists, we don't want to deal with that shit.
You don't. But that's why you have a partner, or a husband or a friend or whoever that can take care of those. And that's his jam. So he is excellent at that. So I don't have to worry about that anymore. But, in my younger time, starting out, financially, money was probably the biggest obstacle that I had.
Yeah. I'm curious, what roles, as we briefly mentioned, sustainability with your products and haute couture and that, what roles do sustainability and ethical practices play in your design process?
Well, see, for us, we pay a very good wage for our people here because I'm very respectful of their education level, their career level, and how long it's taken them to get to the place where they are. So that's the one thing. So we don't have childhood anything. We don't buy from companies that, have their products manufactured that way.
Mm-hmm.
We're very conscious about that. And we're sustainable because we don't throw anything away.
Right.
Like people will make enough for whatever project we have, but we don't throw the scraps away. They all go into a little bag. We put them in the bin underneath our table because you'll have someone come in for a repair or a redesign or something really, we want to make something unusual and cool. We don't have to go back out and research fabric because we have all of this beautiful stuff underneath the table. We'll pull out a piece of this and a piece of this. Oh, that will make a bodice. Oh, that will make like this. Oh, gosh, that would be really good. Crisscross on the neck or some straps, right? So we have a lot of beautiful materials. So our waste on fabric is maybe 2%.
Yeah, that's incredible and important, especially in your industry.
Exactly. And we want to make apparel that lasts for a long time. And so we want to make sure that if you're coming to us for a piece of couture that's expensive, we want to make sure that you get at least 5 or 6 years or more wearing it out. And we don't make anything trendy. So it's classic that you can put back to almost anything in your closet.
Right. Okay. Mm-hmm. How do you source your materials and what steps do you take to ensure they align with your values?
So we go to textile shows. Usually the one that I go to in New York City is Premier Vision, and that's for smaller designers like us. I mean, I can order 5 yards or 50 yards or 100 yards of fabric. So I don't have limitations. When you go to the larger textile shows, you're talking about 300, 400, 500 yards of fabric for one color, and that's not where I'm at. That's for like mass producing.
Right.
But for some smaller design groups like me, that's the place that I go, and they have beautiful textiles there from all over Europe, Turkey, everywhere. And then there's a textile show in Los Angeles, which is closer to where I live now because I'm in Las Vegas. So I go there twice a year, and then I think probably next year, probably going to go to the New York show.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you see the role of couture fashion in today's society, and how do you think it will evolve in the future?
I hope it gets better because some of it's ugly.
To be frank,
I mean, I'm a mature woman and I want to wear clothes that are appealing and practical and are going to make me feel confident and good. I don't think that some of the looks that are coming down the runway, yes, they're for much younger people. However, if you think about it, unless you're a movie star or a billionaire's kid, those younger people, they can't afford that stuff.
Yeah.
You want to make it affordable. So that's all I'm going to say about that.
I will leave that right there. That's enough to say.
That's enough to say.
How and where do you find your inspiration, and how do you translate that into your couture creations?
From everywhere. My favorite place to go for inspiration for things, believe it or not, is car shows.
Really?
Car shows, yes. Back in, when was that year? Like 2000 or something. I was home and there was nothing on TV, and I turned it to like one of the hot rod repair shows or whatever. Yep. And so when I'm looking at, they're dismantling this old car that they found in somebody's garage. I think it was like a 67 Camaro or something like that. And, we need to do this and we want to refabricate that. So the whole process of what they do is pattern making and sewing, only it's with metal and sheet metal, and they're fabricating everything. It's the same kind of process, which was very fascinating. It's a lot of the lines that they have in the cars. You can take a line with some swirl. You can do that with beading. You can do it with embroidery. So there's a lot of inspiration in car design, car art, and car development. And so I go to car shows every year, and I find a lot of inspiration from there.
Wow. I did not expect that response at all. Wow. That's pretty incredible. Another thing that adds to the uniqueness of your creations. I love that. That's amazing.
I can go to museums and stuff and be inspired by that. But if you think about it, fabricating a vehicle is the same thing as making a pattern for a dress or a pair of pants.
True. True enough. Never thought about it that way. How do you think the role of fashion shows and presentations have changed from when you first started out in the world of fashion to where you are now? And how do you adapt to those changes?
So back in the day, like later in the 80s, I mean, fashion shows, that was the one way to get people to come in and look at your line. You go to market, you have a big show, you invite your high private client for one day, you invite the buyers for another day, and then the other buyers for the third day. And I mean, for a while, that's great. But as a small designer, you would be a big department store could put you on the map, but they could also take you out if whatever it is that you're designing doesn't sell well for them. They're all about sell through and how well whatever it is that you design for them, whatever this collection is, which door was it at? What part of the world was it selling at? And so if your goods or whatever it is that you're designing isn't saleable,
Right.
and the client can't make like their margins out of it, they're not going to order from you the following season. And could I have gone that route? Yes. Do I know a lot of buyers? Yes. In big department stores. Is that something I wanted? No, because I'd worked for a large retailer and I learned that clients come to shop for therapy. It's not out of necessity. It's for therapy. And so it's just like going to a bar and having a drink. They want to go to the store and get that good dose of, oh, I feel good, and feel value and validated about the purchase that they just made. And so when you can create an environment for the clients to come and have a better connection of longevity versus like instant gratification, then your whole idea about how fashion should shift a little bit. And so I would do small trunk shows, very intimate inside the store, because it only takes 1 or 2 people to make your day. That's it. And for me, I've done fashion shows that they're very expensive, and they are, but they don't necessarily gain you any ROI on your investment. And so what I've created for me out here, which I haven't seen so far, is I have a small, intimate, it's called Designer Conclave. We do it the last Wednesday of the month. It's from 6 to 8. I have hors d'oeuvres and I have champagne. And we come in and we just get together, we talk about fashion. The questions that you're asking me, they ask me.
Yeah.
And then that's for an hour and a half. And then I show small, intimate fashion show, what Christian Dior does from the movie Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. And people end up trying on stuff. They can order stuff if they want to, but there's no pressure for them to do any of that. And it's just a way for people to know that there is like fashion, not club, but there's like fashion events out there that are small versions of fashion shows, but more intimate. So I think you're going to see a shift in that. In the higher end luxury goods segment, they're probably going to go to something like that.
Really? And
I would imagine.
How many people typically attend one of those?
So depending on the size of your location, I only host 10 people here because my showroom is compared to some other people, but you could do 20 on the high side and still provide that really good customer service. It's just about what it is that you want, what you want to give to your customers. So
it will start out with, I guess, like a question and answer type thing, or is that going on during the whole process?
No, it's Q&A. So they come in and they're greeted by my very handsome partner and husband. We serve some champagne and there's hors d'oeuvres, and then there's just networking amongst the ladies. They're talking about each other. Where do you come from? This and that, whatever. We do a little introduction. Most of the people that come here already know who I am, so I don't have to explain myself anymore. And then they're given like this little card. What is your fashion question of the day? What is it you want to know about? And we talk about the questions. We answer all the questions. There's lots of interactive action, and it's really amazing.
Sounds awesome.
Sounds
like fun.
A lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. I even had a man, my last one sold out. I had one of the guests, he goes, can I bring my husband? And he had fashion questions to ask too. So it was great.
Excellent.
Yeah. So I think you'll see it. Hopefully you'll see that shift coming where it's more inviting.
Yeah. I love asking this question of all artists that I speak with. How do you handle creative blocks when they come up for you? And what have you found works best? And how do you stay motivated?
So when I have a creative block, I usually call my girlfriend in Chicago because she's a scientist, and we just talk about something else because you're stuck on something. Yeah. And so you just have some random conversation about, I don't know, liquid fusion or something, which I have no idea what that is, but that's how she talks. I'm like, okay, what is that for? Or I need to put air in ice cream and all this other stuff. That's the kind of stuff that she works on. And it helps to let your brain relax, and you have to get away from the situation that you're in. And I would just leave it for another day. I'll come back the next day. I'll look at it again. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I'm back to where I need to go.
That's a great tip. Phone a friend.
Yeah. You just phone a friend and you have to get away from yourself.
Yeah. Thank you for that tip. I will utilize that next time. What legacy do you hope to leave behind through your work in fashion?
I hope to leave behind longevity And the fact that that everybody in the world can afford a piece of couture. There's no, what I want people to know is, oh, you have level. Oh, you're like down here and you're here and then you're here. Mm-hmm. There is no such thing in fashion.
There's no barriers.
There's no barriers. You can have whatever it is that you want, whenever you want to have it. And I feel that, what I want to leave people is that when I went to her place, I had an experience.
Yeah.
I had an experience that left an impact on my life and changed how I viewed my fashion sense and my fashion style. And I think that's the most important thing that I could leave for people. So if I'm not going to be around, they'll be like, oh, I learned something from her and this is what I learned. And so they'll take that and they'll pass it down to their kids or whoever.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's a beautiful vision. What advice would you give to aspiring couture fashion designers looking to make their mark in the world of fashion?
Stay true to yourself. Stay true to what you're really good at. I'm really good at making dresses. No, I'm not. I'm excellent at making dresses.
That little tweak of language.
Exactly. And so when you find that lane that you're really well versed in, stay in your lane. If you want to diverse, find someone who has the same expertise as you do in that other area and hire them to do those things. And you just stay in your lane. Because when you do that, the more you practice, the better you get.
I love that you brought that up, staying in your lane, because I was just speaking with someone earlier today and we're talking about that kind of thing where we'll take it back to the education system and kids are expected to be good at math, English, science, chemistry, on and on, instead of taking a look at each individual and looking at what their strength is and focusing on that. Yes, we have to have, I think we have to have a foundation for a lot of different things when we're going through the education system, but all of those areas don't need to be our focus. We need to focus on our strength. And as you said, stay in your lane, because that not only does that help you become more confident in who you are, what you're able to do, enhance your skill set, but it also later on in life, it opens up that lane for another person where that's their strength. Exactly. So you're giving back to people by doing that as well, because you're opening up a space for them. But we're not taught that.
No, I was taught that in college. I think kids nowadays and during this time, it's a lot more difficult for them to be in school. The learning is different. The teaching is different. They don't even teach cursive writing anymore.
I know.
Which is your signature. And I think that's really crazy. But my sewing instructor told me that when you find the one section in women's apparel that you love the most and you work hard to perfect your skills in that section, she goes, if you stay in your lane, you can make the most amazing dresses all day long and be very successful at it. But if you know that you're not good at swimwear, don't go swimming in the pool.
Exactly. My kids, when I think back to when my kids were in elementary school, they weren't even taught their times tables. So that is basic math. Every kid should know their times tables, because I don't care what you end up doing in life, you will use your times table. You need to know how to multiply numbers in life. It will serve you in so many different applications in life. So they've taken the basic learning principles out of school and they're teaching them shit that they won't even use in their lives. They're teaching them stuff that they teach them to memorize and regurgitate. And that's it. Why aren't we bringing back home economics or teaching kids how to sew, teaching kids how to cook?
Or how to cook.
Yes.
Or balance their checkbook. I had all of that in school. So I had that in high school. I get to college. I learned everything about how to run. I could run a business when I left school. The kids now in design school, they can't do that. They can't do any of that. Oh my God, you went to a really great school. I'm like, yes, I know. I did.
But they need to start these things back in elementary school, teaching these kids these things. Have in high school, have auto shop, all of bring all of that woodworking. You don't have to take it, but leave it as an elective for the kids that want to take those things.
Exactly. But they don't realize that when you go to auto shop, you go to home ec, you go to woodworking, that's a stress reliever for students.
Yes. I took home economics in school. I took auto shop in school. I loved it. I took a cooking class in high school. Absolutely. Yeah. Why not? You need to learn how to cook. You got to feed yourself.
Exactly.
These are basic life skills.
Exactly.
Insane.
It is insane.
What do you think your unique skill set or superpower is that's helped you become successful, Sondra?
Mine is patience. Patience is a superpower. When I was much younger, I had none at all. I wanted everything right then and I wanted it now. And why can't you give me an answer right now? Why can't you give me the order? Why can't I have all of these things right now? I'm here. I went to school. I'm working. How come I can't get it now? And one of my supervisors told me one day, because you have no patience at all and you're never going to get anywhere without having patience, because the best things in life take time to get and you have to wait for patience. So I prayed every single day a lot for patience, years and years and years and years. And I was working at a retailer one year, and I had a very difficult customer that came in that was unhappy about alterations or whatever. And so I'm listening to the story of this person. I'm very calmly explaining, okay, if you did this and this, did you ask them to do this? No. Okay, if you didn't ask them to do this and this would happen, did you ask them to do this? No, not exactly. What is not exactly? And so I'm having this conversation like 30 minutes with this lady on her being upset that the alteration didn't come out the way that she wanted when she didn't tell anybody what she wanted. And so when we got down to the bottom of that, she's, oh, I'm so sorry. Can we start all over again? I'm like, of course. Would you like to buy a new pair of pants? Because we can't alter these to make them longer anymore. Nope, that's a problem. This is my fault. I'm going to take care of it, blah, 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 blah. And I went back to my office and went, oh my God, he granted me patience. Oh, I can't even believe that. Yeah. And yes.
I think that's a lesson that a lot of people can learn nowadays, because again, everything we have been conditioned, and the way the world is now is everything needs to happen now. They've got drive-through banks, drive-through pharmacies. Like, it's, what the hell are we doing? We're breeding impatience.
It takes patience. Young designers coming out, you have to have patience and you have to wait for it to happen, but you can make it happen. But you still have to keep practicing and working on your skills and honing your craft. And when you're really good and you make something for someone, it's going to be completely unexpected and they're going to tell everybody. And then watch out what happens after that. But patience is the key. You have to have it.
Yeah. As you said, it takes just one person.
That's right.
That's all it takes.
That's all it takes.
But the patience, as I think, especially as entrepreneurs, patience is probably one of, if not the most important skill set you need to possess, because it's a long road.
It is a long road. You can't get scared about it. If it's something that you love, you can just say, okay, nothing is ever a failure as an entrepreneur. It's always a life lesson.
100%.
You're never failing because you're still working at it. So you didn't fail at anything. It's just something that happened, and you need to take all of the good and the bad and then find a way around it, in your mind, because, our minds go to the dark side when something bad happens, but, you should expect that not everything is going to go perfectly.
Yeah. The only failure is when you give up. That's the failure.
Right. Then you failed yourself.
Yeah, exactly. How do you define success? What does that word mean to you?
So success for me is not monetary. Success for me is leaving a legacy with a client, with someone that you've taken care of, someone that you've given your heart and soul and poured your skills into something that they're wearing on their person. And when they get a compliment from Sondra, she was this, she was that, blah, 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 blah. And so you're inherently leaving knowledge about what is it you do, the experience that they have, and it's something that they will never, ever forget. That to me is success, when you can have a customer feel amazing in something that you've worn.
Yeah.
Period.
Beautiful.
The monetary is just the tip.
Yeah, exactly. What would you say is one of the most important things you've learned in your life? And what was your life like before you learned it? And what was your life like after learning it?
Oh, gosh, Brad, you're going deep, man.
I love going deep.
Oh,
let's do it.
Wow. Oh, I think patience was a really big thing, but truly knowing who I was and what I was capable of, because you have other people in your ear saying, oh, you're African-American, you can't do this. You're a Black lady, you can't do this. You want to be in fashion. You want to be a fashion designer. Oh, that's for white people only. All of this kind of thing growing up in the back of your mind and having to listen to that for a lot of years and not really being sure if you could survive being in the industry like this. But when you have other designers, reps, they're coming up to you asking, where'd you get that suit? And when you tell them that you design it and they look at you and say, why aren't you a millionaire right now? Kind of thing. Then you know that not giving up on yourself and not letting other people's opinions of what your life should be affect who you are and how you grow, that's probably the most important thing that I learned. And not letting anybody tell me who I am.
Again, that's a long process to step into that and own that and talk yourself through that. I mean, we can't do it alone. We have to have support, but to arrive at that.
But it's a mindset.
Yeah, it takes work.
It takes a lot of work, and it doesn't happen overnight, and it comes with time and patience.
Which I was just going to say, it ties right back to that patience piece. What is one of your biggest, and I'll use the word life lessons or teachable moments instead of failures? And what did you learn from it?
Like I said, paying attention to the numbers when I let the excitement of having a big, huge 6-figure order over making arrangements to make sure that I got paid. So I think that was probably one of the biggest life lessons. And my accountant told me, she goes, you've been knocked down because of this project that you have. She goes, but I guarantee you, the next time you go back into business, no one is ever going to be able to do anything like that to you ever again, because you'll remember and recoil the feeling that you had when that happened, and you won't ever let that happen to yourself again.
Beautiful advice.
After I went for that, I mean, I didn't cry about it. I was mad, but I didn't let it stop me from knowing that I had something to give the world. And I just kept going.
And see, that's part of entrepreneurship, is not letting those moments knock us down and stop us, and having the courage, the strength, and the confidence to move on, knowing that we have that gift that the world needs, and not letting that setback, as small or as big as it is, stop you from doing that. It's hard. Again, it always comes back to doing the work.
Right. You have to do the work. But if you surround yourself with like-minded people that understand how the complication of what it is what you do, the boldness of what it is that you do, the accountability that you have to be an entrepreneur, and how hard you have to work to do it. Surround yourself with people like that. And you have to trust that when you tell them something, I'm like this, whatever, and they will find the words that will help you.
Yeah.
But you can't do it alone. It's impossible.
Yeah, that support system is absolutely key for sure. What is one thing you know now that you wish you knew when you first started your entrepreneurial journey?
The roadmap on how to get to where I needed to go.
It would save a lot of time, wouldn't it?
It would save me a lot of time. But as my grandmother would say, baby, you just got to live on and you'll see. I'm like, I never knew what she meant by that. But then I was in midlife, whatever. I'm like, oh, that's what she meant.
Now I get it, Grandma.
Thanks, Grandma.
Okay, we're going to jump into a little rapid fire section here. So the next grouping of questions just be 1, 2, 3 word answer type thing, okay? How would you describe yourself in one word?
Resilient.
If you could teach the world one thing, what would it be?
To always be kind.
What is one of your favorite quotes?
So my favorite quote is from my mother. I wrote it down too, and you're going to like it.
I'm sure I will.
So my mother always told me to never be afraid of my own voice, and that I could be and do anything I wanted as long as I worked for it.
Love that quote.
I live my life by that.
Mama was a smart woman, is a smart woman. Love it.
She was.
Mama was a smart woman.
Yeah.
Beautiful quote. What is one thing you want but cannot buy with money?
That would be for my family to do well in their life. I can't buy that. And I hope that I can be an exemplary for them so that they can see that anything is achievable.
Yeah. What is one thing you love about yourself that is not related to your physical appearance?
Oh, that I have an affinity for learning different languages. I can speak Japanese. I can speak Spanish. I can speak French, a little bit of Arabic. And I taught myself how to speak Bosnian because one of my girlfriends is from Bosnia and we can communicate. It's amazing.
How did you learn all this?
Google.
You taught yourself how to speak these languages through Google?
I did. The other ones, but Japanese, my part-time ladies tailor is from Japan. And so she's been teaching us Japanese for the last year. So we come in with, oh, hello. We have all these really good.
While you work, you're learning Japanese.
While we work, yeah.
That's awesome. What is your favorite self-care practice?
So my favorite self-care practice is to divulge myself in reading books. And I love manicures, pedicures, and the Hallmark Channel. Trust me. A couple of Hallmark movies, and oh, you're feeling so much better about everything.
Because everything ends perfectly in a Hallmark
Everything ends
world.
perfectly in the Hallmark movies, yes. I love it. I'm addicted to the Hallmark movies, yes.
That concludes our rapid fire section. Now back to our regularly scheduled program. I threw in a bonus question that I did not send you ahead of time.
Oh, you're so bad.
I just wanted to give you a little surprise.
Sure.
If you could
Thanks.
take one feeling or one belief and bottle it and give it to people, what would it be?
I would give them my feeling of joy when I create something for someone who didn't think they deserved it.
That's a beautiful feeling, I would imagine.
It's a beautiful feeling.
If you could step into my shoes, what question would you have asked yourself that I didn't ask you?
Now, why didn't Sondra tell me about her growing up and doing shows for her family, seeing Al Green?
Why didn't you?
Yeah, you didn't ask. So.
And I'm asking you now.
No, so the best family story, the best family story I have is it's in relating to that. But back in the day, my parents had like good sheets for when relatives would come to visit, and I would have to give up my room because I had like the biggest bedroom in the back. And I was in my stage where I was like making clothes. I went to a private Catholic school, so I had to wear a uniform. There was no individuality there because everybody had to look the same. And I didn't like that. And so I told my mom, I'm going to give a fashion show for you and Daddy on Sunday, and I'm going to make all this cool stuff. And she thought that I had just like wallpaper scraps and string and all this other stuff. But I had found her good sheets. And so I took those good sheets and I ripped them apart, and I made little dresses for my sister, and I made some toga looking thing, and then a pair of pants, and then like a cape with a hood, like Little Red Robin Hood. And I went into her bedroom, into her jewelry box, and I got all of her jewelry, and I styled my sister up, and I had some stuff for me. And then my mom's favorite singer at the time was Al Green. So we had, the hi-fi stereo with the, the big album. So I went and put the vinyl on. And so back then I can make my dad's drink. So he liked 2 fingers of Crown Royal with 1 cube of ice. And I set his drinks on the table. I brought my mom, I think she was drinking RC Cola back then. And they came in, they sat down. I said, okay, now I present to you the fashion stylings of Sandy Williams, because that was like a nickname when I was growing up. Oh my God. Put on Al Green. My sister comes out and she's twirling all around and this and that. And so I had 6 little pieces, and I said, that concludes my show. And my mom's sitting there with her soda, and she drinks her soda. She goes, oh, baby girl, that was so nice. Now, where did you get that fabric? And I said, they were just this stuff lying up in the closet. I mean, I was grounded for 3 months after using those sheets because they were very expensive. But yeah.
And what did Daddy say?
Dad just laughed. He just said, oh my gosh. Oh man. My father was afraid because knew that I had something. He didn't know what. And then when I got out of high school, I graduated and I wanted to go to art school. He didn't want me to go. He had a scholarship. I could go to his school of choice. And he said, you want to go to college? You have to go to this school. Otherwise, I'm not paying for it. I'm like, okay. I went at first year and I called my uncle, my mom's brother. And I said, I can't handle this. This is too boring. I'm failing. I'm not paying attention. I don't want to be here. And he goes, what does he want to do? And I told him my uncle found the school for me to go to. My father and I had a strained relationship for many years because it wasn't because he was mad about what it was that I was doing, that he felt that I wouldn't be able to take care of myself or have a good job or anything like that in fashion. And so, it was 2004. He actually came to see me at one of my stores and then at my house, and he saw my setup and he saw that I actually was successful. And it was 11 years after that he said he was actually proud of me. Wow. So it took some time, but you have to just stand up for yourself, and you can't do what your parents tell you to do when you know in your heart that's not where you want to be, because you'll be unhappy and unsuccessful the whole time. Absolutely. Beautiful lesson. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that story. Both of those stories. Yeah, whatever. I love it. I love it. What is your why, Sondra? Why I do what I do? Because there's so many people in the world that would love to have the experience, but think that they can't. They would love to be an entrepreneur, but they think that they can't. They would love to do things in life, but they make excuses as to why they can't. I'm the why. You can do whatever it is that you want to do if you put your mind to it. And the people, if you show the people around you that it can be done and you help them to get in your corner, you can be successful in anything that you do. Beautiful. And I want my sisters and my family members to see that I didn't stop. no matter what.
Thank you for sharing that. If you had the opportunity to sit down and have a 1-hour conversation with one woman, any woman in the world, who would it be and why?
Coco Chanel. And I would ask her how she kept focus when she had faced so many adversities in her life. Because she didn't have it easy. Mm-hmm. She had to work very hard for what she wanted. And she had to stand up to men who didn't want her to be successful. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's the case for a lot of women in the world. And she's a fashion icon, and she started out making hats, for crying out loud. And now her brand, she's been gone, I don't know how many years, but look at the legacy that she's left the world.
Yeah.
And if I can do something even half as fantastic as that'd be okay.
Beautiful. If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that piece of advice be?
Have patience early.
Lastly, Sondra, if you were to deliver your last 30-second speech to the world, your tribe, your people, your corner of the world, what would that last 30 seconds sound like? What words of wisdom would you impart?
I would tell people to live their dreams on their own terms. Don't let anybody steal your joy in life, because life is really short. Seriously.
Beautiful. Sondra, thank you so very much for the beautiful, inspirational, funny, thought-provoking, the stories, all of it. I have so thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. You are a beautiful human being, woman and soul, and I appreciate you taking and making the time to be here with me today and share a little bit about the beautiful light you put out into the world, the work you do, your story, your journey. I appreciate you. I'm very grateful to know you and to call you a friend. So thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much, Brad. You asked me a lot of questions too.
I love to dig deep.
You did dig deep. You dig deep. I'm like, oh my gosh, really? But no, I'm truly grateful. And if it helps just like one person, then I'll feel really great about that. So thank you so much for having me. Really.
My pleasure and my honor. Once again, my name is Brad Welsh, host of your Empowerography podcast. Today, my guest has been Sondra Falk. She is the owner and founder and head designer at Sondra Falk Couture, which is a premier design and manufacturer of luxury women's apparel, ranging from elegant formal wear to evening wear to bridal. Thank you so much, Sondra. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day.
Thank you. You too, Brad.
Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. If you haven't yet, please be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share with all your friends. You can find me at visuphoria.ca, follow me on Instagram at Empowerography Podcast, and on Facebook at Empowerography. Please join me next time for another inspirational story from yet another amazing woman.